So here we are in the PTS and we are going to be testing Measured Assembly, the new gear set coming next season on May the 27th. It is essentially a throwback to the Division 1's final measure gear set, which was designed at the time to counter the insane nade spam. In Division 2, nade spam is not a problem, they slowed down the mechanics so much no one really does that anymore. However, Division 2 has other problems, or has had over the many years that this game has been around. Skills and stats effects were plaguing PvP for a long time, but over the last few years the devs have given us some options, namely Cavalier does a good job of giving you absolute immunity to stats effects. You have the Booster Hive, which has been buffed a few times and now it's actually quite good, although I generally speaking would only use it to cleanse a stats effect. And then you've got the changes to the heals, which now give you hazard protection on the first time that you get healed by a skill, 50% for 5 seconds. Again, all of these things combined give you plenty of protections for stats effects. However, there are still skills, so now we have final measure that has been tuned to help combat skills. So how does it work? Well, before I get onto that, first let's talk about how it doesn't work. During my testing and what you are seeing on screen up until this point, we were under the impression that the set was only working to counter the mortar and the decoy. Nothing else was working, right? Nothing else being diffused, destroyed, nothing. And it was a little while later that we decided to test another aspect of the set and then find out that indeed it was working as described. So not really sure what's going on there, but having a gear set that doesn't work on launch is unacceptable. In addition to this, unfortunately, there is a bug. All you gotta do is, you know, the old classic, take a piece off, put it back on, and ta-da, you have now reset the cooldown. Anyway, I'll just go into the live testing, so let's begin. And yeah, it also works through walls. So that's pretty nice. It should work on Hive.
Wow!
Well, it does work on Hive.
So when you were testing it earlier, it
was
was
bugged. Yeah.
Okay, decoy.
Okay, that puts me on cooldown. Check your mortar. I'm on cooldown, not working. But if I swap off and I swap back on, it destroys it. Yeah, it does work.
Have fun.
Mortar on me.
Yep.
It's working, okay.
I'm sending the video to Fearless so he can send the bomb.
Oh!
It did.
I did what? I didn't see.
It blew up the
that?
mortar
Do it again.
projectile. But now do it again.
Do it again, do it again.
Go.
They put the Israeli tower defense in here, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
It only
the
breaks
Iron
one
Dome?
mortar and then it goes on full cooldown.
You
That's
play with the cooldown,
you
when
get
swap the
10
gear set,
mortar
reset.
shots. Go on.
So you just need to make a macro that does that the whole time. Yeah, you
Do
know,
I
right?
have the build for you?
Look.
Nah,
Fucking
that
game,
ass.
bro. No way.
Nah, that ass.
You just sit behind a wall in cover like this, going.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, basically.
That's all you do.
Can you hold the hive and walk with it?
Or like Ricky Maru. Alright, let's try.
Holding it and just.
If you can dead ass Ricky Maru people.
Wait,
Yeah,
go on.
try that
Shoot
one.
me with
Try-
the
try.
water.
Because that'd be a good for pushing with your team, you know what I mean? Come on, gun!
Push.
Push.
The fight.
That would be hilarious. Push, Suka!
No, it doesn't work.
Oh, that would have been hilarious, bro.
Stand outside and throw it in. Okay, it has to land. Ah, what if you have 2 skills? And then I throw my hive on your 2 skills. Which one does it break?
Yeah.
The first one that you
Closer
threw,
one,
or the
probably.
closer one? So the mortar went down second. So if I drop a hive here.
Decoy.
I realized that. Yeah, I started doing that shit.
Decoy.
That shit.
Oh, that was further away. Second.
I love my people.
Last placed. So if you chuck a mortar and you want to protect it, you can chuck another skill on top of it. Someone can chuck a artificer hive. So you're going to double up on the mortar now. Make it stronger and counter the gear set. Yeah, you sit back with Umbra with a hive and a smart cover. You give your smart cover to your teammate, you give your hive to your teammate. And you sit back and hide at the back with nothing yourself, but you're still Umbra. It should be the mortar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more a second.
Could be back.
Alright.
And that does make it where you can play it reactively though, because like the minute that they drop it, you have to time it.
They drop
before
it.
They can drop something else to protect it.
But I want to know is if you have like 6 people in the area, what's your cooldown going to be? Your cooldown on the buff should be like 2 seconds, if not nothing. If you have 7 people in it, technically it should have no cooldown. So it breaks every skill.
What bronze did it give? The best skills a lot. What's the second?
Haste.
Well, I'm still working.
15 was it?
Working.
Wait.
Working. Distractions is fuck shit.
Wait, what? You dropped a decoy here, it got destroyed and then it got placed there. Wait, what the fuck? I'll go again. Shoot. And then
It has to be.
you
on
can,
the
and then
ground
you,
by the looks of it.
and then you make it, and then maybe you pick it up again. Do another little push. Your smart cover can block the next mortar shots with sitting in cover. And then you wait for the next mortar, and then you do that.
I need
So
more.
maybe try again with the other skills.
Okay. Try Seeger. Uh-huh, okay.
It does work. Seeker mines counter it because they take the proc. Yeah, that's gonna have to change.
Finger hope.
And for
How many charges? Is
Oh,
the hive
nice.
stacking up?
Nice finger hive, man.
Pack watch, FN. You
That
heard?
I'm not joking. I reckon that happens every time. It happens because of the timing after when it lands and when it's destroyed, which is really random. You can't control that. Try throw another stinger hive. I think it's going to happen again. If this mechanic makes it to where the timing is the same every single time, then it's going to bug out every single time. This actually buffs enemy hive.
About 7 stinger houses.
It does work on drone. It works on everything. Okay.
what happens if you have multiple people with skills coming at you? Does it do it all at once or
No, it does one.
just the
The
one?
first one, I imagine. Yeah.
In order to really make use of it, you'd have to be like constantly swapping a piece on and off to get your buff re.
Yeah, and everyone's going to do that. So they need to fix that shit.
Just.
But the thing is, the cooldown is 30 seconds without the bag and 15% faster for each ally. So if you're rogue and you have 3 allies and something enters, you get 45% off 30. If you're policing, it looks like that's going to be... I think... Rogues can't use skills anymore. Police can use skills, but rogues can't. Yeah, because it's not an object. It hasn't got health.
Okay,
If smart cover
how-
is an object, then you can use this gear set to break smart cover. That would be, I don't know, I think that would make smart cover shit and pointless and not worth running. So, to conclude, the cooldown is going to need to be supplemented with some other kind of a mechanic. I propose an independent cooldown per skill, much like how kinetic momentum works. That way you can have a little more control to, well, deal with what's being thrown at you and isn't going to completely mess up the cooldowns balancing. You see, the balance between rogues and non-rogues or rogue police, due to the number differential, you know, rogue police is typically going to be up to 8 players and a rogue team is going to be, well, up to 4. If a rogue team can only get up to 3 additional procs from teammates, but a rogue police can get, well, technically up to like 10 against 1 player, although it would typically be more like 1 plus 7. If 7 procs gives you plus 6 skill tiers and over 100% cooldown reduction, that means that you can have 100% uptime on the buff, whereas rogues only get half of theirs off. You know, with cooldown reduction, as you 10 to 100, it's exponential, so yeah, the balance is way off there if there is no cap, which is why I propose, for example, a cap of, well, 3, because the team size is 4, and if you're one of them, you can only have 3 stacks. And that would of course mean that potentially if the intention is for you to gain up to 6 skill tiers, then maybe the backpack could offer plus 2 skill tiers per ally in the radius. Or maybe give you like a buff when you're at, when all 3 are in there, you gain an additional skill tier, something a bit more balanced like that. Or maybe also provide you with more cooldown reduction for each ally within, as long as you have the backpack. So the backpack is like a multiplier on the mechanic rather than just, hey, let's turn 30 seconds to 20 seconds and call it a day. But you've got to do a little bit more than that, I think, otherwise no one's going to run it. You know, the gear set has to be good and viable, and people should want to run it but it shouldn't become an abuse gear set. Let's make it balanced for both sides, and then have incentives for running the backpack. That would make sense to me. I'm not saying it should have to be like that, but I reckon, you know, for balance, it ought to be considered. So there we go. There we have it. Final measure, or measured assembly as they now call it. Check it out when it comes out. Should be good.